Sunny dreamed of a mountain, jagged and lonesome. It towered over the other peaks of the mountain chain, cutting through the night sky with its sharp edges. A radiant moon bathed its slopes in a ghostly, pale light. On one of the slopes, the remnants of an old road stubbornly clung to the rocks. Here and there, weathered paved stones could be seen peeking through the snow. To the right of the road, a sheer cliff face rose as an impregnable wall. To the left, a silent black sea of nothingness hinted at an endless fall. Strong winds battered the mountain, crashing into it over and over again, screaming in helpless rage. Suddenly, the moon fell below the horizon. The sun rose from the west, streaked across the sky, and disappeared in the east. Snowflakes jumped from the ground, only to return to the embrace of the clouds. Sunny realized that he was witnessing the flow of time in reverse. In an instant, hundreds of years flew by. The snow retreated, revealing the old road. Cold shivers ran down Sunny's back as he noticed human bones scattered across the ground. A moment later, the bones vanished, replaced by a slave caravan moving backward down the mountain, the clatter of chains echoing in the stillness. Time slowed, stopped, and then resumed its usual pace. Aspirant, welcome to the nightmare spell. Prepare for your first trial. Sunny stood confused, hearing the voice echoing in his mind. He was unsure of what to make of the situation. His bleeding feet ached with every step, and the cold gnawed at him. His thin tunic did little to shield him from the biting wind. His wrists were the source of his greatest agony, shackled by iron that dug into his broken skin with every movement. What kind of situation is this? He wondered, bewildered. He looked around, seeing a long chain winding up the road, with dozens of hollow-eyed people, slaves, just like him, shackled at intervals. Ahead, a man with broad shoulders and a bloody back walked with a measured pace. Behind him, a shifty man cursed under his breath in a language Sunny didn't understand. But somehow, he knew what he was saying. Periodically, armed horsemen in ancient-style armor passed by, casting menacing glances at the slaves. Things were as bad as they could get. Sunny was more confused than panicked. These weren't the typical scenarios one would expect from the first nightmares. Usually, aspirants found themselves in situations where they had some agency, warriors, or privileged individuals with the means to at least attempt to confront challenges. But being a powerless slave, already half dead and shackled, was as far from ideal as possible. However, the spell was designed for challenge and balance. As the old policeman had said, it created trials, not executions. So, Sunny figured, to counter this dismal start, the spell would surely reward him with something powerful, an aspect, at the very least. Let's see, how do I do this? Thinking back to the popular webtoons he read as a child, Sunny focused on words like status, myself, and information. As soon as he did, shimmering runes appeared before him. Even though he didn't understand the ancient script, its meaning was somehow clear. He quickly located the rune describing his aspect, and his heart sank. Wait, what? What the actual hell? He exclaimed in disbelief. Name, sunless. True name. Rank, aspirant. Soul core dormant. Memories. Echoes. Attributes. Fated. Mark of divinity. Child of shadows. Aspect. Temple slave. Aspect description. A slave is a useless wretch with no skills or abilities worth mentioning. A temple slave is the same, though much rarer. Speechless, Sunny stared at the runes, trying to convince himself that maybe, just maybe, he was seeing things. He couldn't possibly be this unlucky, could he? No useless aspects my ass, he thought, frustration bubbling inside him. As this thought crossed his mind, he lost his rhythm and stumbled, pulling the chain down with his weight. Immediately, the shifty man behind him screamed, "Whore's bastard! Watch where you're going!" Sunny hurriedly dismissed the runes, which were visible only to him, and tried to recover his balance, but not before inadvertently pulling the chain again. "You little shit. I'm going to kill you," the man hissed. The broad-shouldered man ahead of Sunny chuckled without looking back. Why bother? The weakling will be dead by sunrise anyway. The mountain will kill him. A few seconds later, he added, "It'll kill you and me too, just a bit later." "I really don't understand what the Imperials are thinking, forcing us into this cold," the shifty man gasped. "Speak for yourself, fool. I'm planning to survive." Sunny silently shook his head and focused on not falling again. What a charming pair, he thought. Suddenly, a third voice joined the conversation from further back. This voice was gentle and intelligent. "This mountain pass is usually much warmer this time of year. We've just had really bad luck. Also, I would advise you not to harm this boy." "Why is that?" Sunny turned his head slightly, listening. "Haven't you seen the markings on his skin? He's not like us, who ended up in slavery because of debts, crimes, or misfortune. He was born a slave, a temple slave, to be exact. Not long ago, the Imperials destroyed the last temple of the Shadow God. I suspect that's how the boy ended up here." The broad-shouldered man cast a glance back. "So what? Why should we fear a half-forgotten, weakling god? He couldn't even save his own temples. The Empire is protected by the mighty war god. Of course, they're not afraid to burn down a few temples. But we here are not protected by anything or anyone. Do you really want to risk angering a god?" The broad-shouldered man grunted, unwilling to answer. The conversation was interrupted by a young soldier riding a beautiful, white horse, clad in simple leather armor and armed with a spear and short sword. He looked dignified and noble. To Sunny's irritation, the soldier was also incredibly handsome. If this were a historical drama, he would undoubtedly be the lead. What's going on here? There was no particular menace in his voice, even a hint of concern. When everyone hesitated, the gentle-voiced slave spoke up. "It's nothing, sir. We're just all tired and cold, especially our young friend over there. This journey is truly too harsh for someone so young." The soldier looked at Sunny with pity. Child. Sunny thought angrily. Though he didn't speak his mind aloud, the soldier sighed and took a flask from his belt before offering it to Sunny. "Bear with it a little longer, child. We'll stop for the night soon. For now, here, have some water." Sunny was about to take the flask when a whip cracked through the air. In an instant, pain erupted across his back. He stumbled, once again pulling the chain, which caused the shifty slave behind him to curse. Another soldier, older and angrier, stopped his horse a few steps back. The whip that had sliced into Sunny's back came from him. Without even glancing at the slaves, the older soldier fixed the younger one with a disdainful glare. "What do you think you're doing?" The young soldier's face darkened. "I was just giving this boy some water. He'll get water with the rest of them once we camp," the older soldier snapped. "But, shut your mouth. These slaves are not your friends. They're not even people. Treat them like people and they'll start imagining things." The young soldier looked at Sunny, then lowered his head and put the flask back on his belt. "Don't let me catch you making friends with slaves again, newbie. Or next time, it'll be your back that tastes my whip." To drive the point home, the older soldier cracked his whip in the air and rode past them, radiating threat and anger. Sunny watched him go, hidden malice brewing inside him. "I don't know how, but I will watch you die first," he thought, then glanced at the younger soldier, trailing behind with his head down. "And you second,